the data?
Yeah.
Like, how do you get information about what's going on for them?
Intake or assessment. So I will say I get that in a couple of ways. Typically, not always, but typically I will do an initial free consultation.
Phil for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get a little bit, for me to know the person, I get a little bit of data that way. So, and this is just conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And very on a surface level. What do you why are you talking to me? What do you want to accomplish?
That's where you get your why.
Well,
you get some of your why there.
Like top layer.
Surface level. Okay.
Layer of why. What do you want to accomplish?
Yeah.
I want to lose 20 pounds, whatever.
Those.
Or I want a 6-pack abs, or right. Yeah. So basic level of what brought you to my doorstep.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Why are you here? Why are you here, and what do you want to accomplish? Sometimes if people are fairly insightful, they might know. My dad died of a heart attack or whatever, blah, blah, blah. They might dive into their deep
Yeah,
why.
my dad got dementia really early, and I want to have good brain health.
Yeah. I would say most people don't hit their deep why initially. So, but why are you here? What do you want to accomplish? And so I get a little bit of their story, of, how much they weigh, how old they are. I might get a little bit of their, family life, again, surface level. Then I'll do an actual intake. So that I send them a, 3 to 5 page long intake.
Yeah.
I don't really know exactly. I want to say it's 5 pages long. And this asks, I would say height and weight and age, asks about their day-to-day. What do they do for work? And we talk about this too, but I initially get it on paper. So what do they do work? Are they sedentary? Do they do shift work? What is do they do exercise? What does it look like and for how many minutes? I initially have them do at least a 24-hour recall of their food. I want you to tell me what you ate yesterday. Because I don't, and then typically I'll have people log food after that, before we really get started. I prefer like a 7-day log of food and I try as best you can. I want you to eat like you usually do. I don't want you to think about it. I'm not giving you any parameters. I want you to if you stress eat. If you order pizza on Fridays, order pizza on Fridays. I want you to eat like you usually do as best you can in the same amounts and log it all.
You're getting a benchmark, right? Or you're getting where are we starting from?
But from the assessment, I say, I want you to write down everything you ate yesterday that you can recall. So that and times of day. I ask them what time they typically go to bed and what time they wake up. Ask them how much water they drink, if they drink caffeine and how much. And I'll initially ask, what are your top 3 on the sheet? What are your top 3 goals? If no barriers, right?
Yeah.
If I could wave a magic wand and give you your wildest dreams of health.
Brad Pitt Fight Club.
Yes. Then what would that be, and how would you describe
Edward Norton, American History X. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
You know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
So what does that look like? And for some people, it might be, I want a good relationship with food.
Yeah.
For some people, it might be the body. But anyway, what are your top 3 goals that you want to accomplish? And I'll say 12 months. Don't think about how you get there. If you could just wave a magic wand, what would this be? So I have them write that down. Then I go over just some basic kind of intake that you would usually do for a doctor. So like health history sort of stuff, going everything from anxiety to eating disorders to cholesterol to heart health and, all of those things. There's it's kind of a multiple choice question about things that I know relates, like, do they, feel bloated after they eat? And, some hormone questions. Do they have facial hair for women that they don't want to? Do they have hair loss? Do they have bloating? Do they, sleep disturbances? Do they have insomnia? Anyway, I don't know. There's probably a good 20 questions there that just are select a bubble, kind of always, sometimes never sort of thing. Which, and it puts it in topics like hormone health or gut health or whatever. And it just gives me kind of an overview. I'm trying to think if there's any. I ask about stress level 1 to 10. What's your stress and what are your stressors? I have them name that. So anyway, this is paper, right?
Right.
Just coming off cuff from them. Can they name some of these things? But it gives me a pretty decent insight. Oh, and I also ask, do you have people to work out with? Do you have a community that is healthy? Do you have a community that's healthy?
Yeah.
I ask them if they have a community that's unhealthy, basically asking, are there people in your life bringing snacks or is it at work from the workroom or your household. Like, what does the food look like in your household? Do you have people to exercise with? Do you have a support system around being healthy?
Yep.
Because doing it alone amidst a family and community that's not is really, 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 really hard.
Really.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's off the top of my head, kind of what that looks like. So we look at exercise, we look at day-to-day living and water and sleep and stress and food. And so I get all that. So on paper.
Yeah.
Then I do an initial call, and it is the longest call. So I have all this information, but just like you and I talking, it's different face to face.
Right.
And
so you're going over this intake with them.
Yeah, but not top to bottom. I'm creating conversation.
Yeah.
Right. And so I might start with, hey, so I know all this about you. Thank you for all this information. I know all this about you. What are holes missing? Because sometimes face to face, you're like, oh, let me tell you about a history of me, people calling me fat when I was 10, or a history of my mom having an eating disorder and not bringing food in the house, or trauma in their past, or whatever. So some things might come up initially, but otherwise we're just creating conversation. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about, like your day to day. And so I get a little more on conversation, or I might dig into some questions. So, you're on a statin. How long have you been on a statin? Oh, you have high cholesterol. How long has that been happening? Like what? And so then I might dig into like symptoms and how they feel and their energy levels. So I can kind of expand on some of that. And then I talk about like how I can help, right?
How long is that first kind of meeting after the intake?
An hour, but an hour to an hour and a half.
Yeah. It takes a while, right?
It
And
does.
you're building rapport, but you're also fleshing out this person's
Yes.
lifestyle.
So it really depends on, I am talkative. So I always tell them up front, I'm like, let's get started because I'll over talk. But if they're also talkative, then it might be an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But at least an hour to not only go through things, but then I'm also gonna like give them some framework to start with. Let's get some initial framework. And so I will do, again, it really depends on their goals, right? And where they are and where they need to go. But it just massively does, because if somebody doesn't want to lose weight at all, it's gonna change my approach if they just want to be healthy on like how much they're eating and all of that. But typically then I will go into exercise. So I do exercise prescription if they want it. Some people are like, I've got whatever, I'm doing CrossFit, or I'm in this group, or I do, whatever, all these things.
They're coming with some exercise.
And I don't want it to change. Like, I like, don't mess with that.
I like what I'm doing. Right.
Like, don't mess with it. Other people might have a good routine and they feel good about it, but they're like, I'm open. Do you have tweaks? Right. And so then again, depending on what they want to accomplish and where they are and where they're, and typically I won't have the inside piece yet. So this is just getting started. So typically at this point, I might recommend, okay, let's do some initial blood work, or can you do some through your doctor and then I'll review it. So
this is labs.
This is when I will order labs or have them get labs. But that usually takes a couple of weeks to get back at least, if not more, depending on timing for like a woman's cycle and all of that. So that might be up to a month later before we get lab work back, or they might come in with lab work, and that's okay too. This is where if they're having GI stuff,
you do the GI mapping.
Yes. And so this is a whole other cat and caboodle, but honestly, I prefer to do a GI map on everybody.
Really?
Even if
it's really helpful for you.
So helpful for a look at their inside of their body. If I have somebody who's come to me who has done bodybuilding in the past, we're doing a GI map. If I have somebody who's had a past eating disorder, we're doing a GI map. If I have somebody who is doing everything right for the most part, like it looks really good on paper,
but they have challenges,
they're having weight loss resistance or not able to build muscle, we're doing a GI map. Obviously, of course, like financially available, they're a bit wanting willingness to do it. But I really prefer to do it on everybody, because rarely is anyone's microbiome perfect. So usually
Are they expensive?
They're expensive.
How much is that GI map?
So off cough, it's around $400 by
Okay.
itself, and that does not include a review of it. So like
then
I'll
you
charge
review it, and that's like
review.
that's,
That's
yeah,
what
that's
I
a
just
session, right?
but by itself, it's around $400.
Okay.
And so yeah, they're pricey, but it shows pathogens, both bacterial and viral pathogens. It shows healthy bacteria. So we have bacteria that we want in our
Yeah.
gut, but we also want it to be balanced. So you can have an imbalance of your healthy bacteria, which comes from stress, antibiotic use, poor diet, medical conditions, high toxin load. So somebody might be eating healthy and whatever, but the products they use on their hair and their face and breathing exhaust or living next to a power plant, it builds up over time.
Yeah.
So that can impact your gut. But stress is the primary one. If someone's highly stressed, we're doing a GI map because their microbiome's probably really imbalanced.
Yeah.
Which means they're not going to burn fat like they want to. They're not absorbing their nutrients. If they're not absorbing their nutrients, then our muscle build doesn't work as well, and our brains don't work as well, and our organs don't work as well. I mean, like we need all of those processes to work efficiently. It's also our second brain. So our gut highly correlates to depression and anxiety.
Yes.
And so anyway, so this is also...
I watched this this talk where a researcher or a scientist or a doctor, I forget which one, she said she was fasting. It's one of those fasting specialists. She was fasting and she had one of those glucose monitors.
Yeah.
And she got into an argument with her daughter and she had a glucose spike.
Yeah.
From the stress of that relational event.
Fight or flight, right? The body is pouring sugar into the muscle so you can run away from the bear.
Right? So you can get a glucose spike not only from food you put in your body, but a stressful event.
100%. Yeah.
Which could lead to that insulin resistance. So you're like doubling down on your insulin spikes, glucose spikes. So you're stressing out. Anyway, go on.
No, it's so true. So yeah, we can come back to all of that.
That blew my mind because I was like, I thought it's only when we eat sugar that we'd have glucose spikes and insulin type of...
We have glycogen reserve, so our body is prepared to help us run away from the bear or get a good workout in.
Yeah. And we have glycogenesis too, right?
Yes. So, I mean, bodies are complex in a great, beautiful way,
Yeah.
but it's not linear. And there's a lot of layers to that, which is why... hence functionality, right? Let's look at all these different layers. So this is when they might already know, but I might recommend a GI map.
Yeah.
I'll kind of finish that. So it looks at healthy bacteria, so the balance of that. Then it looks at bacteria that we don't necessarily need, but we don't want overgrown. And so then we can see if there's overgrowth.
Is this
bacteria.
Candida?
Well, no, that's in the fungus and yeast section, but it does look at that too.
Oh my God. Okay,
So-
I wanted to ask you if that's a real thing because you always got like people like figure out your Candida, and I always
real
thought
thing.
that's a scam.
It's a real thing.
But it's a real thing. Okay.
It's a real thing. And low levels of Candida aren't bad, but overgrown, they're sugar eaters. And stress can feed it, and because of the sugar, and then sugar can feed it, and it creates bloating and muscle pain and joint pain and fogginess of the brain.
Inflammation.
It's inflammation.
Causes inflammation.
And it ruins people's goals.
Okay,
basically.
back to what you were saying.
So it looks at overgrowth. It looks at fungus and yeast. It looks at worms. We don't get that a lot in the US, but you can. It looks at parasites, which are more common than you'd think. And then it looks at health markers. So this is where we look at steatocrit and how well you're absorbing fat. It looks at your digestive enzymes and your pancreatic function. It looks at your SIG-A, your secretory IgA, so your immunoglobulins, which is your immune function from your gut's perspective. It looks at calprotectin, so the inflammation marker in your gut. It looks at beta-glucuronidase. It also looks for anti-gliadin IgA, so antibodies for gluten.
This gives you a lot of information as a health professional.
So this is where I would say, let's order that. Well, that takes like a month to get back. So, but that doesn't mean we can't be making progress on someone's gut in the meantime if they are already having issues. But also this is again kind of circling back to something we talked about earlier, but basically, sure, there's lots of just overall healthy habits that we can be working on that can be improving your gut and your brain and all of the processes
In the interim.
In the interim.
Yeah.
what helps about the GI map is there's specific things that do need specific treatment that I use herbs and supplements for.
Okay.
And so if something's really bad, I might say, okay, this is something that like antibiotics might help with that. But everything on there, like 99.9% of things on there, I can treat without them with herbs and supplements.
Yeah.
Which is usually my preference because then we're treating fire with fire because antibiotics can disrupt the microbiome so much. So anyway, so this again, kind of coming full circle, this is exactly where I'm like, okay, let's also order the GI map so we can be working on getting that back, or a Dutch test to look at hormones or whatever. So this is
a Dutch test?
Yeah,
That's another thing?
The Dutch test is like a more insightful hormone test that looks at the pathways of your testosterone and progesterone and estrogen and all of those pathways for that. So just another. So this is where we might order lab work or whatever.
Yeah.
And also then where we dig into the why, right? So
that's next, but that's all the intake stuff.
Yeah.
Which spanned age. It went from surface level stuff like age, weight, what's your family like. You went into like food log, a 24-hour food log. You went into like, what's your sleep routine? What's your sleep hygiene? Your stressors, your community. Then we had kind of like more medical stuff like your labs, your GI mapping, and this Dutch test. That was like all the kind of information that you bring into that first relationship. Yeah. Then, the next thing is the why.